Russia intervention in Syria.
During decades of authoritarian governments, the people of several Middle Eastern countries raised their voices in Paris and outstood the leaders in what has been called the Arab Spring. In Egypt and Tunisia, the uprisings were quick and decisive. In Libya, the protests led to a short civil war that ended with the death of Muammar Gaddafi. Syria is another story. This is Bashar al-Assad, president of Syria. His father, Hafiz, ruled for 30 years, during which he modernized the country. During the Cold War in 1947 and 1991, Syria was allied to the Soviet Union in opposition to the Western powers and the stronger political boundary. Between 1955 and 1958, Syria received about $294 million from the Soviet Union for military and economic assistance. The Suez War in 1956 accelerated a multiplication of ties between Syria and the Soviet Union, simultaneously with the increase in power and influence of the Syrian Ba'ath Party. At the end of May 2011, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that Russia opposed the United Nations involvement in Syria because, quote, "the situation doesn't present a threat to international peace and security. Syria is a very important country in the Middle East, and destabilizing Syria will have repercussions far beyond its borders," end quote. In June, both the US and other Western governments, as well as Syrian protesters, prevailed upon Russia to change its positions. And finally, a Syrian anti-government delegation visited Moscow and met with Russian envoy Mikhail. On October 4, 2011, Russia and China exercised a double veto against the Western-drafted Security Council resolutions. The resolutions demanded an end to all violence in Syria, accountability for those responsible for it, condemned grave and systematic human rights violations, called for a political process, encouraged the opposition to take part in that, and said the Security Council would refuse Syria's compliance with the resolution in 30 days, after which the Council would consider options, including unspecified measures under the United Nations Charter. On 9 September 2013, responding to U.S. threats of strikes against Syria in response to use of chemical weapons in Syria, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov issued a proposal intended to avert a U.S. attack, with provisions including Syria's placing its chemical weapons under international control and their subsequent destruction. As of September 2015, Russia has stepped up its military presence in Syria, deploying 12 Su-25 ground attack aircraft, 12 Su-24 interdictor aircraft, 6 Sukhoi Su-34 medium bombers, and 4 Su-30 multi-role combat aircraft, and 15 at the Bashar al-Assad International. However, in November 2016, Reuters published a report that contained evidence that Russian forces were playing a more substantial role in ground combat by employing contractors recruited through private agencies registered in foreign jurisdiction. According to the report, despite their unofficial status, these troops operated in coordination with Russia's regular military and were given benefits back home normally available to serving soldiers.